Become the oldest fighter to win a world welterweight title. Amazing accomplishment that I never thought I would accomplish. But know that God is good all the time. That's why I give all glory to God.
Spence versus Crawford is going down. So both of these guys were confident, and you seen after the Frank Martin fight.
It's close to that never seen. So, if we don't have it now, it's never gonna happen. So.
I understand that. I mean, that's business. But I also made a comment about this before. Sometimes the business of boxing gets in the way of making great fights. And I was just hoping that this fight wasn't going to be a victim of that process. So I'm happy to report that this fight is not only going to happen, but this fight is the biggest fight in the last decade. I seen a post and they were talking about what's the biggest fight, Spence Crawford or Triple G versus Canelo Alvarez. And to be honest with you, you can't even, I mean, in my opinion, Canelo Triple G doesn't hold a candle to Spence versus Crawford. You have two of the pound for pound. Matter of fact, in that category, those are pretty much the top three fighters pound for pound in the sport of boxing. And you have two of them fighting each other. So naturally, that's the biggest fight. And this is Spence and Crawford. Now, let's get into the abilities of these guys, man. I'm telling y'all, man. It's been so long that I actually did a breakdown that I loved and that I enjoyed. And these two guys, man, you know what I mean? Bud being a switch hitter, being able to operate in the orthodox stance, also the southpaw stance. I mean, he's athletic. He's strong. I mean, you seen Bud deadlifting, you know what I mean? 1,000,000 pounds, you know what I mean? Talking about it's not how big you are, it's how strong you are. And that's one thing Bud is known for. If you guys seen the Instagram post with him wrestling everybody in the fight house, this dude is wrestling dudes, you know what I mean? Doing martial arts, all types of stuff. Terrence Bud Crawford is a phenomenal athlete. He's physically strong. He's a physically strong guy. Yes, Errol Spence is a strong guy. He's known for busting up opponents, broken orbital bones, so on and so forth. I understand that. But see, a lot of these guys that took that punishment, they stood in front of Errol Spence and they took that punishment. It's like, for some reason, Spence's opponent sometimes is like a deer in the headlights. Once that opposing pressure begins and that onslaught begins, his opponents freeze up and then they get stuck right in front of Spence and they wind up getting beat up and beat down. Now, Bud, different animal, different story. Athletic, mentally the most intelligent fighter that Errol Spence has ever faced, hands down. The fact that he can operate in the southpaw stance as well as the orthodox stance, and besides Sean Porter, he's probably the most athletic and mobile, one of the most mobile fighters that Spence has also fought. So going back also to the intelligence, Bud is going to be moving. You know what I mean? He's going to get off his offense, but he's not going to get glued to the canvas and stand in front of Errol Spence and allow Errol Spence to let off those body shots, to let off those devastating jabs and hooks that he likes to throw and systematically break guys down. And as soon, I mean, if you watch some of the tape, I don't know if I'll be able to get it and put some in the video, but if you guys have been watching Bud when he practices, when he's in the gym working on his movement, you know what I mean? Old school, when they got the lines up and he's working on slipping, coming under the rope, throwing his shot, slipping and turning. Now, if Bud gets on the ropes and stays on the ropes, I will be surprised. This is where your ring awareness comes into play. Bud is in the ring fighting Spence. You have to be aware of where you're at in the ring at all times fighting somebody like Errol Spence. Once Bud gets near the ropes in any degree, look for Terrence Crawford to move. And see, Bud is not only going to move, but see, he has options in his mobility when he moves. Because he can not only move laterally going left to right, but the fact that he can switch when he turns up out of that situation, he could also change his stance. So in this fight, Bud has the ability to turn not only his defense into offense and his offense into defense, but from a mobility standpoint, he has the ability when he's moving around the ring and transitioning around the ring and out of danger to turn those opportunities into a physical display, meaning getting off his jab, you know what I mean, coming back, and as he's going back on the back foot, you know what I mean, come up with that straight right hand or left hand, depending upon if he switches. Usually in a fight, talking about Bud switching, he usually switches to southpaw when he gets hurt. I believe in this fight it's going to be a more transitional thing, just like Jerron Bruce Ennis is the perfect example. He switches seamlessly. He doesn't even think about it. In this fight, I believe that Terrence Bud Crawford is going to have to be in that same boat. When he switches, it's going to have to be more natural, more organic, opposed to being, you know what I mean, orchestrated or choreographed. Because I believe if it's more natural, especially once these guys are getting up and close, you know what I mean? And like I said, they're trying to transition out, turn around, get their spacing. It's going to be very important, you know what I mean, where Bud is at in the ring, as I said, at all times.